Hey, boss, I have a cancer.
Oh man, dude, if you're on stage 4, you might as well call yourself a goner with our health insurance.
Ah, shit. Hey guys, what is up? This is Tyler from Anim8orkid. You're listening to a revamped edition of Anim8orkid Podcast. That's why I renamed my secondary channel In Other News Memphis, since Evan has been working quite a bit lately. We haven't really had time to continue our show where we talk about pop culture and politics and that kind of stuff. So I rebranded this channel. We're going to see where it goes, if it launches into anything. It might not, but anyway, we're here today with Louis from The Mind of Louis.
Hello guys, it's the Mind of Louis here. How you guys doing?
Good friend of mine. We've been collabing on a lot of projects for both of our channels, and I interviewed him, I believe it was a little over a year ago.
Yeah, I think it was after the Real World of God skit.
Yeah, the God skit. That was one of the first videos that we ever collaborated on. Excuse me, I'm just having to get some water. And we got another visitor today. She might be interfering a little bit with the recording. This is a new kitten of mine, and so hopefully she won't be too much of a distraction, but if she is, I'll just say, okay, we're going to commercial break, guys, even though we have no sponsors yet. So, how you doing, man?
Bro, I've been doing fine. If anyone watches our YouTube channel, which I hope, they should see our vlogs, and they'll truly know what we've been through.
Yes, we actually just got through recording the other day. It was the 2017 year in review for Anim8orkid and of course the Orange River Network, all the channels on that. We reviewed the top 15 videos from 2017 that we thought were significant, and there were quite a few vlogs on there talking about how we were struggling through our semester in school. But hopefully this upcoming semester will not be as bad. I think we'll have some. I don't think we'll have as many hurdles to overcome. But today, what I wanted to do is, since he and I have been collaborating on a lot of stuff, I wanted to do another podcast interview where we kind of talk about, a few things. I want to talk about politics a little bit, and we can talk about school and other stuff, and things in our, just everyday lives.
All right.
All right. So we're going to go to commercial break real quick so I can take care of the kitten. We'll be back in a second. We're back with Anim8orkid Podcast. This is my interview of Louis Jerome, The Mind of Louis. So I wanted to start blitzing politics a little bit. We were talking last night about how we thought the Democrats were going to be doing in 2020.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a toss-up, I think. But I think that we're both in agreement that they have an edge for 2020 just with the way that Trump's administration is going.
That too, and I believe that they already lost Alabama, and people are also thinking that the Democrats might take Utah because of Trump's law. Remember, he reduced the national land. Trying to remember what it was, the national parks.
Yeah.
He reduced that, and some people were saying that the government should not seek re-election in Utah.
Ooh.
So that's another big loss for them if they lose. What I see for the Democrats here is that if they can win 2018 if they do not put a corporate on top. If they don't put a corporate Democrat on top, if Justice Democrats can come out on top, then the Democrats have a chance to win 2018 and hopefully the presidency for 2020. Because right now, people are starting to see that Trump's promises are not being made, and even though he has passed some laws, they're always getting blocked by judges.
Right.
So it's really the state of the White House really just, for me, I feel like it's a circus. Yes, he has passed a new law, but I feel like that one was really rushed. Because if they didn't pass anything, the government was going to shut down.
Yeah.
So they put that bill into play, and his tax laws are just, I don't know. I feel like they're going to benefit the rich.
Absolutely.
More than the middle class and the poor. But we'll just have to wait and see what really happens. It's his turn. It's the end of Obama's of his economic plans, and now it's the start of Trump. So we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's going to be probably another boom-bust cycle. This is what people mention all the time. The Bush tax cuts gave us one. We were coming off the success of the Clinton years economically. We had the tech boom. And when Bush did the Bush tax cuts, that fueled the housing bubble. and that burst obviously in 2008.
And then we had that really terrible recession.
Yeah, the Great Recession. And so I think that we're probably heading for another one here soon. I don't know if it's going to be necessarily during Trump's first term or, God forbid, his second term or whoever is in power next, mid-2020s, late 2020s. So it's going to be accelerated, definitely.
Yeah.
Due to the tax cuts.
What about let's talk about net neutrality.
Yeah, net neutrality. So the FCC, of course, repealed or voted to repeal the existing rules that were put in place by Obama that kept everything the way it was. Before then, net neutrality was more of just like an idea. It was a practice. Obama codified those practices in
made
law.
It legit.
Yeah.
Now, people, there are two sides of this. People are saying, "Oh, nothing is going to change because it came out in 2015, and all through 2014 and behind that, nothing has really changed. They never really had a problem with the internet speeds. But now I feel like it's going to be really different. Since people are more aware." I feel like we are going to get like internet packages, things like that. There's a lot of memes going on around the internet, but hey, if these people are really that worried about that going on, for me personally, I think that they should be worried, but I don't think they're going to go to the extremes because if they
not at first,
no, but I feel like we're going to start seeing very, very, very little like changes that might trigger a little bit of people.
Yeah.
But like companies know that if they do something really drastic, they're going to lose a lot of consumers.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a slow thing, and I think what we're going to see first, we probably are going to see some throttling to begin with, because they're already doing it.
Yeah, Comcast has already been accused of doing stuff like that.
Yeah. So if they can do that with the existing laws in place, imagine if those laws were not there, how much more they probably would be engaging in that
because I know
practice.
Comcast was accused of throttling their networks. I feel this is what's going to happen if major internet corporations start throttling and start doing these crazy package deals. Then I feel like tech giants like Google, Amazon, Apple, Samsung will make their own networks.
Yeah.
I feel like if they do that, that's really going to bring competition to the game because right now, I've been doing some research in other countries. They get really high, megabit speeds, and over here, most people get 24 to 30.
Yeah, I know Chattanooga, Tennessee has like public broadband, so it's just another like a public option for broadband, and it's very highly rated.
Yeah.
So that's something that a lot of people have brought up. One of the solutions is we don't even have to worry about the corporations. We could just install public broadband access in certain cities. There's already 150 cities that have it.
It's so crazy. I feel like they shouldn't, when it comes to the internet, and this might be a little bit conspiracy theory here, but for companies to control the internet like that and to throttle their networks, I feel like they can also change who we see, who we pick in favor for a president.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, for instance, like think about it. Let's say, Comcast, or AT&T had a candidate that they really wanted to win, and we wanted to look up bad things about them, critiques about them. We probably would find very minor things about them, probably very small things that probably just scratch the surface, while everything else is really good. And I feel like that will really hurt. I think that will hurt the public, because for us to not get the right information that we need, or the legitimate information, will make some people, ignorance towards, like a certain candidate. Like, oh, okay, this guy's really good. His track record is nice. I looked him up. I barely see anything bad on AT&T's network. But then you go to Comcast network, and then you see a list of negative things because they don't want him to win.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's in a way, it's like it's taken away from information.
Yeah. The media is a huge part of the democratic process, and that's why, the corporate media, the hegemons, if you will, that control the airwaves, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, when they can sway public opinion and they do such a bad job of reporting, as we can point out that they do, that's one of the biggest reasons, aside from money in politics and just general voter dissatisfaction, that our democracy is not very robust.
Yeah.
People have rightly pointed out, and I actually, in my speech class last semester, we did like a topic defense, and the topic that I chose was campaign finance reform.
Yeah.
And I was researching how, one of my early speeches I mentioned at the top, we are not really a democracy. There's
not.
a Princeton study that concluded, based on the relationship between what the public wants and what actually gets passed into
it's
law.
more of a republic than a democracy.
Well, it's an oligarchy is what it is, really.
Yeah, I can see it.
Because, I mean, you have, especially the fact that the Senate exists in the first place, that's, obviously much more elite than the House of Representatives, and the Senate is where a lot of populist legislation goes to die, because, and you have money in politics as a factor.
It's like the discussion we had, with the Supreme Court law that was passed, the one that allowed, billionaires to fund campaigns, which is really bad. You know, back then it wasn't like that.
Yeah, it was Citizens United, and then after that, there was another decision that lifted caps for individuals.
Now all these people that are being selected are not being selected by the people, but rather by corporations who want to have their, basically they're in out for themselves and for their friends. Pretty much. I mean, we can see this with everything. I mean, not everything, but we can see this with like really big companies like, AT&T, Warner Brother, Comcast, NBC, CNN, things like that. Some of them even control some of the some seats in the House. So that's why sometimes when you see laws being passed, it's really mostly just to benefit them. It's just a big game of lobbying, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we've really always had money in politics to one degree or another. I mean, you want to go all the way back
to the Gilded Age.
The Jackson Age. The Gilded Age was definitely one where both parties were equally corrupt. Yep. And the only clean election, I mean, it's gotten worse in recent years, but the only clean election that we really had was like Jimmy Carter versus Gerald Ford. Yeah. After they passed laws that said, okay, we need a public campaign finance system, and now using that public system is optional for candidates. Yeah,
it should. I feel like it shouldn't be optional. I feel like it needs that. That's how it's supposed to be.
It's necessary.
There's no privatized things, because if it's private, then you have to make promises. Man, you endorsed me, so I promise if I become president, I'll help you.
I'll lower your taxes.
Yeah, and that's basically what it's pretty much become. Yeah. If I become president, I'll lower your taxes. NBC, I'll lower your taxes. Apple, I'll lower, and it's not good for the people. It doesn't help the economy out at all. These people have money to pay their workers a living wage.
Right, and Obama was complicit in this in a lot of ways. I feel like people who objectively look at his presidency would probably rate it as like a C on a letter grade scale, because he did do some good things. He got us out of the recession, for the most part, because he did the minimal Wall Street regulation and the stimulus bill and everything. Obamacare was a step in the right direction, but he also did a lot of really shitty things, like the drone strikes, and that we just got through watching the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
With, what was that guy's name? Larry Wilmore.
Yeah, Larry Wilmore. Obama's last Correspondents' Dinner, where Larry was calling out everybody, on the left and the right. But I mean, Obama did that. He did not close Guantanamo. He expanded NSA spying. He turned 2 military interventions abroad into 7, actually 8, I think, because I think we've been in Niger for quite a while. So, he was complicit in a lot of that. He did not mention campaign finance reform one bit. Bernie Sanders was the only candidate that really discussed that. Trump to a smaller extent, but we all knew that he wasn't actually going to do it.
He's out for the... Yeah. He doesn't want to change that.
He's really turned into a standard establishment Republican.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that he's going to drain the swamp out. But, guys, I want to ask you, is the swamp truly drained? I mean, it's kind of sad when you look at it's
even wetter.
It's really sad when you look at you look at pictures, and then the net worth of each individual is almost $1 trillion. Yeah. Combined. Like, what's going on here? Yeah. Is he really out for the common Joe, or is he out for the rich? And just look at his presidency. Just look at the people that he's hired, the people that he's endorsed. They're all millionaires or billionaires. So who is he truly out for?
Right. He's, like I said, he's pretty much just become an establishment Republican.
Yeah.
He's gone back on almost every proposal that in terms of the populist rhetoric. I mean, he's continued to outsource jobs when he explicitly said he was not going to do that. Yep. He did kill TPP, but he's like in the renegotiation of NAFTA, he's putting the worst parts of TPP into that. He's raised taxes on the middle class. It's ridiculous.
And then studies have also shown, his tax plans, time and time after again, that we're gonna get passed, shows that that is only gonna benefit the rich, not the poor. It even showed that there'll be some deficits, with middle class and lower class families, while the rich just continually to get richer. I feel like what is gonna happen with the state of American politics right now is that there's gonna be a really big shift. If the Democrats do not, mess up, people are starting to realize that, hey, Trump is not getting a lot done.
Mm-hmm.
All you hear on the news is, oh, this bill didn't pass, or, they don't know what to do. There's too many holes in it. There's not enough. Even, and it's really sad that, there's some people in the Republican Party that don't even agree with him, So, you have the House divided, it's already Democrats and Republicans. Now you have Republicans versus Republicans. And, I don't think that's really good. And he's going to have a really hard time trying to get some of his laws passed.
Yeah, and so that kind of brings us back to the topic that we started this with, which is 2020, the presidency.
Yeah.
I do think that the Democrats have an edge just because of how bad everything is going. Every Democrat that you put up against him,
it looks like they have a winning chance.
Polls better looks like they can win. And what it's really going to come down to. Now, I don't want to make any promises because a lot could change.
Yeah,
but
we're not fortune tellers here.
We're not making solid predictions. We're just speculating. But one thing that is for certain is that it's going to come down to the Rust Belt states. Is it going to be Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, to some extent Ohio, because
those were the states that helped him win.
Yeah, those are the states that went for. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan have not gone red since 1988.
Mm-hmm.
So when that is an utter failure on Hillary Clinton's part.
Yeah.
And so no matter what Democrat, I think even if it is a corporate Democrat, because of how Trump has proven that he's not working for the benefits of the people in the Rust Belt states, it is certainly possible, even likely, that those states will go back blue. But it all depends on the Democrats' voter turnout and how
the
they
nominee,
campaign.
Yeah, it really depends on all that. Hopefully that just the Democrats does come on top, and we can get someone with a brain, to actually do it. I really wanted Bernie to win it. And I think I speak for everybody on this when Bernie didn't make the nominee. And they did him wrong as well. The Democratic,
National Committee,
did him wrong.
Yeah, he polls. He's
the most popular
61% approval rating. So that means even a plurality of Republicans like him because he speaks to the interests of the middle and lower class.
Yep.
So that's why you have people in West Virginia, Trump voters, in a rally in West Virginia, giving him a standing ovation when he talks about free college and Medicare for all and a living wage and ending the wars and that kind of stuff. Because, these are regular people. And I really want to talk about this because this is really important. Mm-hmm. So there is a big divide among the Democratic Party in terms of strategy.
Yeah.
So the situation that we're in now is that you have people who say, and I think rightly, and I think you would agree, okay, we need to reach out to these white voters.
Yeah,
we need to reach out to these white working class voters.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other people who say, who disagree with that and say, no, we need to stick to, metropolitan areas. And you can do both, though.
See, I think that's why Hillary lost.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly why she lost. For me, personally, I feel like the votes from everybody count. I don't black, white, working class, metropolitan, country.
Because the white working class has been Democratic. There were 2-time Obama voters who voted for Trump. So
something is going on.
That's
speaking a lot, and I feel like I feel like they're not being heard. Yeah. I think that's why Trump really won. It wasn't because of Trump really won not because of what he was doing, but because of his rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was saying things that people wanted to hear, you know, and a lot of people were like, okay, if this guy is going to stop having jobs go, you know, overseas and bring more jobs here, then we're going to be okay. And a lot of people love that. They love hearing that, and that's why I think most of the voters, you know, chose him because they want to keep their jobs. But now they're starting to see that he's outsourcing jobs to overseas companies. You know,
and people will say that it doesn't policy is not necessarily what wins over voters. It's campaigning, and I would say that's 100% correct because you know, Hillary, as bad as she was, her policies would have been better, especially on climate change, on taxes, on the Supreme Court.
But when it comes to...
she ran a shitty campaign.
Yeah.
You know? So, it all... And I think I've been doing a lot of research for... We might have a video, by the way, guys, coming out in early 2018 regarding Bernie Sanders. I'll just leave it at that. But I've been looking at a lot of electoral map predictions. Mm-hmm. There are some people who have him winning Arizona.
I can see that.
You know, as far as red states, I mean, maybe I saw a poll that had him leading in Utah, of all places. Now, I'm not so sure, you know, the sample size was smaller than that one, but I think he would get well over 300 electoral votes. Yeah. In fact, I'm certain he would, you know. Possibly even Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, because he speaks to these people. You know, some of the deep red states like Mississippi and Oklahoma.
They adore him. They really like what he's saying.
I was going to say some of the deep red states like Mississippi and Oklahoma might not in a presidential election go for him.
Gotcha.
But it is true that like West Virginia is the reddest of red states, and he gets standing ovation. So maybe he would carry some of these deep red states. I don't know. That's why he should have been the nominee, so we could see.
But see, now it's crazy because in Alabama they lost. What was the guy?
Well, of course, it was Doug Jones versus Roy Moore.
Roy Moore, yeah, and they lost Roy Moore, so it's really looking bad for them, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and this is another thing I want to talk about. People, it's good that Roy Moore lost. Don't get me wrong, but we would be kidding ourselves if we thought that the only reason, or we would be kidding ourselves if we said that Doug Jones won for any other reason than the fact that Roy Moore was a pedophile. Because he beat him by like 2 points.
Yeah.
If some people have said if he were a more populist-leaning Democrat, progressive Democrat, he might have won by a wider margin.
Yeah.
It was so close, and this is... He's kind of like a centrist kind of dude. Mm-hmm. He's not for some of the priorities in terms of policy that a lot of people would like to see in a Democrat. So I think he will lose in whenever his reelection comes up. But
of course he's gonna lose.
Yeah,
because I mean it's been a while since they had a Democrat.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna get reelected
for
sure, unless he can really do something good. But
unless he changes his positions or his campaigning style, which is unlikely, so that's sad in a way because I mean, a lot of people are pointing to Alabama as evidence that you can run centrist candidates and win. And while that might be true for somewhere like Massachusetts or Rhode Island, the truth is you're not. I mean, again, the guy he was running against was a pedophile. That's why he won. It was the campaign was about personalities, and above policy, and I just mentioned, of course, that campaigning is important, but policy is you have to campaign on policy, So it's really sad to see a lot of people taking the wrong lessons from Alabama because this is by definition a fluke. I think it's a good one. Don't get me wrong, but it's not.
It's not finna stay.
It's not long term, Now, could we see some more Democratic victories in other states that are not as it really just
red? All depends on their campaign style, man. It depends on the candidate and the campaign style. I think what it really all comes down to at the end of this is like we need to take money out of politics. Mm-hmm. That's what it really comes down to, because a lot of these people, like I said before, a lot of these people are not here for the people. They're here for business. pretty much. And half of the people that are in the House are usually people just elected by big corporations to pass laws to help them either lower taxes or, do crazy things.
Yeah, the Senate especially.
Yes.
Because the House, I've heard some people say that if we wanted to really go in a radical direction, we might abolish the Senate, because what that would do is it would make it easier to pass legislation, because you only have one. It's a unicameral House. There's a lot of countries that do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Britain has their House of Commons, for example. Yeah. Canada might be like that. But people will mention, the downside of that is that if you get conservatives in power, then they have an easier time passing their legislation. But I would say, well, while that might be true, on principle, would it still not be better anyway to have just a unicameral House?
Yeah, I feel like that would be better, because right now, things have to go through here, and then half of the time it doesn't even truly get looked at.
Yeah.
People just be like, no, I'm not going to pass it because I just don't like that guy.
And the House is much more populist leaning.
Yeah.
Because they're I feel like a majority of Democrats in the House are for things like Medicare for all, and the living wage, and so it would be.
There's a lot of Republicans that actually agree with having healthcare for everybody. You know? Some of them really
Republican voters specifically, not so much
what's really
politicians.
What's really crazy is that you did tell me something one time, like a vast majority of Republicans really adore some of the laws that Obama had placed, like free healthcare for all and things like that. You even told me that if it really was for the campaign style for Hillary, she could have carried them.
Yeah, she could have, even if because Hillary's problem was that she campaigned as a neoliberal. Obama, the reason he won, well, first of all, it was because of the Bush.
Recession.
The recession and the fact that we were coming off of Bush, but also the reason he won that election, got reelected, is because he actually campaigned as a progressive. He governed as an establishment corporate Democrat, but he campaigned as a progressive. Hillary campaigned as a corporate establishment Democrat, so that was her issue. Mm-hmm. And Bernie would have campaigned and governed as a progressive.
Yep.
So I want to talk about Justice Democrats for a second. So I know I keep up with them quite a bit. There was a little bit of an incident the other day, a little falling out. So Cenk Uygur, who is one of the founders of Justice Democrats, there was a blog post of his from 1999 that got exposed. And again, this is something from 18 years ago. And he had a different mindset when he wrote it.
See, when it comes,
it had content in there that people deemed misogynistic, and because of that, even though he is 100% turned around in terms of his outlook on things like that, they called for his resignation.
See, that's terrible. People need to understand that. I feel like you shouldn't use what people like. Up to a certain number of years, you shouldn't use what people say to bash them.
Yeah.
Like you said, at a time people have different minds and people change over time. So if you're gonna get a tweet from someone that said something pretty stupid 5-10 years ago, are you really? How does that make you look as a person? You're using something that someone used 5 years ago. He probably was ignorant on the topic, and now he's changed. I say, things like that shouldn't really affect how you see someone today.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. He said this. Okay. What has he done to change his mindset?
Right.
Okay.
A complete 180.
He said. Let's say. Okay. Good example. Let's say you're running for president, Tyler.
Yeah.
Right? And you say the N-word. Okay, really? Okay, and even if it was me and you just joking around, right? People are still gonna say, "Oh, why is he saying that? Why is he saying this?"
Yeah.
Or let's say you did have a bad mind. 10 years ago you said the N-word. out of blind rage, right?
Right. Yeah.
And let's say you're a politician, you're doing really good, you actually help the black community out, you do a lot of things, and then someone is like, oh, he used the N-word. Okay, let's look at what he has done for people
in the
first.
time since then.
You know, okay, yeah, he said that. Maybe he was mad at that time. Maybe it slipped out. Are you guys really gonna get mad at him for something he said 10 years ago? Come on.
Like PewDiePie.
Yeah, like we all know he's not, like, that's actually a really good example. We all know he's not racist. We all know he's good, but the media turns things around.
It was a slip of the tongue, and it was not. I mean,
I know so many white people. Like, I mean, I got white friends. Okay, we all say the N-word around each other.
Yeah.
Because as now it's just, I guess people just see it as, oh, it's just a form of a greeting. Me personally, I prefer to call my friends bros, but you know, sometimes it does slip out. You know, I mean, hell, it slips out sometimes.
It's the mood of the situation.
Yeah, I feel like it's how you use the word.
Yeah,
because stand-up comedy, you know, black people can make fun of white people all the time.
Yeah,
we laugh. A white person makes fun of a black person. It's like a double standard. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You get mad at it. You know, a black guy can come and be like, "Yo, I saw my friend just go off on his mouth." I was like, "Fuck you, Laura! I'ma shoot you!" Like, damn. And then, you know, a white guy come up on stand-up comedy and be like, "Yo, my friend was using cocoa butter. I don't know what the fuck that was." And everybody gets triggered. I'm like, nah, bro. If you can't take a joke, then we just can't joke at all. You see that? So why would y'all rather have? A world with no jokes or a world with jokes? I want to have jokes, and then you got to learn to laugh at yourself. Come on, you know. Hell, me and Tyler even, you know, pick at our own races sometimes. You know, there's stupid shit that it's funny. I mean, you know,
there's weird shit that everybody does.
Yeah,
you know?
So it's really, when I see shit like that, man, I really just say that they're just salty.
So
pretty much.
What happened basically with Justice Democrats? So they called for his resignation. Mm-hmm. He conceded. Which you know, from a PR standpoint, may have been the right decision, but in terms of like on principle, absolutely 100% in the wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the Justice Democrats. Yeah. And so here's what's happened. Kyle Kalinske also is another co-founder. He also left Justice Democrats because he said, "Okay, you know what? This identity politics is not what we're about." So here's what's going to happen from this point onward. And this is something that Kyle stressed. The candidates that Justice Democrats are sponsoring, that are running, they had nothing to do with this decision. So we should still support those candidates because they stand for policies that are going to help the American people. Okay. They had nothing to do with this. It was the staff. It was the social media arm of Justice Democrats.
And you see, that's where it's going to...
That was the problem.
That's how it's going to fail. I mean, come on, guys. Like, people make mistakes. Yeah. Okay? Like, just because someone said something that was kind of ignorant in the past doesn't mean that they're always going to be ignorant. I mean, there's many times I can even say, probably people that are watching this, you know, there's probably sometimes where you said some stuff that probably slipped out. Does that make you a bad person? No, it doesn't. Did you continue to do that? No, you didn't, right? Mm-hmm. So just from one mistake, for me to really to slam on you after you're showing remorse would really make me look bad. Why kick a man down after he's already apologized for what he's done?
Yeah. So it's really unfortunate. And of course, there are other groups, of course, that are backing some of these same candidates.
But see, these are the same
Brand New Congress, Our Revolution, National Nurses United. These are organizations that are dedicated to policy, and not. It's unfortunate because there was a commentator that I used to watch, Sargon of Akkad. Now, I quit watching him a while back because he's one of these people who is like the anti-SJW commentators, which for a while was interesting to see, but he really just turned a little too conservative for my taste. But he made a prediction that unfortunately has come true, which he said, you know, the identity politics is going to creep into this movement. And it has, and that's unfortunate. Now, I do think that the candidates, you know, most people are not in on the inner workings of Justice Democrats organization. So I think that the candidates, if they do well in the primary, they can still win some of these elections. We'll see. You know, it's about the policy. But before we move on to another topic, I wanted to just also mention there was an episode of Blackish, you know, that's shown on ABC where like it was about the N-word and the grandparents, which was Lawrence Fishburne and Jennifer Lewis, I think, is the grandmother. They were like completely 100% against anybody using it. I mean, even the colloquial version. Dre and Rainbow and like the adults, the middle-aged people, they were in favor of like, okay, black people can use it with each other, and then the kids were like, actually anybody can use it. So there was that generational divide between the
who
three
can use it,
who can use it, in what context, and that was really funny to watch. But that reminded me of that. Yeah. All right, so we're 35 minutes in. We probably can shift gears a little bit. I think we've politicsed out.
Yep.
We just got through the past couple of days working on some videos that will continue to do that over the next few weeks. We go back in the spring, for our spring semester, we go back in January for our spring semester. So what's on your list in terms of your classes that you're taking, and what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking for political science. I changed my major from computer science because the classes over there are just really terrible. So
yeah,
the learning style is not good for computer science.
Yeah.
I feel like political science would be really good. Hopefully, I have 16 hours, so it's not gonna be too much on my plate. But I'm pretty sure I can get a lot done. I'm actually really excited for it, man. Since I took some AP classes, it actually brought me ahead. I'm taking some 2,000 to 3,000 level classes, so it's really serious. But I'm actually really looking forward to it. I enjoy politics, I enjoy law, I enjoy just knowing about how the government works. So hopefully this is going to open the door for many opportunities for me. Other than that, what do I have in plan? Just to continue to work. Hopefully I move out in May. I'm gonna keep doing mixed martial arts and keep making videos with you.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm looking forward also to my classes that I have, mostly the film production part 2, because that's my major. So we get to explore some more techniques in making short films. I'm taking U.S. history, which I did World Civ last semester, and it was kind of boring to me, honestly. So I switched over to U.S. history to get my history credits out of the way. I'm also continuing my political science minor with an upper division class. Let's see what else. I'm taking another film studies course, because we have to have a few of those when we during the course of our program or degree. And then I'm taking, for my elective, I'm taking mythology, because I know the professor that we signed up for, and I signed up with my friend. My friend Walter, he said he really enjoyed that class. The professor is actually a friend of one of my family members, so that's interesting. So we'll get to see how that. I think it might inspire me to do some more investigation into kind of like the gods and goddesses, and there's kind of like a sci-fi feel to mythology when you really look at it. I mean, it's like, especially Wonder Woman that just came out this year. When you take a look at some of the lore and that, I mean, they've canonized the Greek gods.
Yes. It's really cool how I really love mythology. It's really interesting, like, I feel like they call it mythology because it's actually kind of funny. I wonder what they call Christianity. Is it mythology?
Well,
you gotta think about it, because when we in the Western society, if there's something we don't really believe, we call it myth and legends, right?
Yeah.
So imagine how it is in other places where they don't believe in our stuff. They probably call it myth and legends as well. Yeah. It's just something interesting to think about.
That's another reason that when I started to come to question religion, one of the things I quickly realized is, there are thousands of religions, and to think that you have the correct one. I mean, how do you know? How do you really know?
It's like being out in. It's like comparing it to the universe. Like it's ridiculous. For me, I feel like when it comes to religion, just do good. Just try to do good, bro, because we're all gonna fail. Like, the way I see it, and as a kid, I even point this out. Most of the times, what I got as a kid was, if you don't believe, you go to hell. That kind of puts fear into people.
That's not a good.
It's not a good way to get people to to come. And you can ask questions to pastors, and for me, through my experiences, I always felt like I got shunned upon when I would ask very hard questions that they couldn't answer. And most of them would always reference the Bible, but I would try to be like, is there anything outside of this?
Right.
And they can't just say you don't know. Like I would prefer you to be straight up with me and tell me the truth than say, I just don't know this question.
Yeah.
Say that rather than just trying to pull something out your ass.
I mean, when you self-reference the Bible to explain biblical phenomena, that's by definition, not a legitimate way to analyze things, because it's like cyclical logic,
Yeah.
So that's why we have to investigate other secular archaeological records to determine the validity of some of these things. I mean, it is likely that there was a flood in the past, in like I
don't know about that. Well, for me, I believe.
I was gonna say like in the Black Sea region.
Yeah. See, it's not a global. Yeah, when we talk about the flood, I feel like it's just regional floods.
Yeah,
I don't think it's.
It's physically impossible for the entire world to be underwater.
Yeah, like for me, bro, I was just thinking about this. I was just like. There's a guy who was trying to argue with me. He was saying that they were looking at Mount Everest and they found dinosaur bones in Mount Everest. So he was like, that indicates that there was a flood. How can or like he was saying there was like sea animal bones inside of Mount Everest.
Well, does this person not realize how
cold it is?
How erosion works? Like you see, plate tectonics. I mean,
it's ridiculous, man. Like for me, there are some things that I like. When it comes to religion, there's some things I take in and take out, and this is for every religion. I got friends that have different beliefs too. For me, I believe that there is a God. For religion, anything that's man-made is flawed. I believe if God really did write the Bible, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have the problems we had now. Yeah. If it was a truly perfect being that wrote this, we wouldn't have problems. We wouldn't have disagreements on who said this or how was this interpreted.
And people will rightly point out, if the biblical God were real, he would be just a brutal dictator almost, because of just a lot of the Old Testament stuff.
I would like to reference Futurama on this. There was an episode when Bender met God, and it was really cool. He was like, so how do you do it? He was like, well, if you do too much, people will depend on you too much. Yeah. If you do little, people will start to lose faith. You gotta sort of just pinch at it a little bit. And
that's funny.
That it is funny, but I kind of feel like that's kind of true. Yeah. People believe in the Bible so much that it kind of blinds their reality on certain things. There's even some people that go to the extremes to not even take their children to the hospital.
Yeah, that should be illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, we have freedom of religion as part of the First Amendment, and that's something that we should never abandon, because that would be authoritarian. But when you endanger somebody like that, that's child abuse. That should be an arrestable offense. You know.
But these are only the extreme cases. I mean, you still have those people that are ignorant. That'll on campus one time, this guy came and he was saying all these crazy things. Yeah. And he was using the Bible to quote his own agenda. You see, a truly perfect Bible will not have flaws like that, to where people can misinterpret text and mess it up.
I mean, it was written collectively during a period of time when we did not even know jack shit about science and it's
crazy. It's really crazy, man, just to see it. That's why I rather just try to be a good person, try not to make the same mistakes I made in the past.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody followed that philosophy,
I think it would.
That would be good.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're about 44 minutes in. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch upon?
Neil deGrasse Tyson is coming to Memphis.
Ooh.
Yes, so I will be getting tickets to go see him at the Orpheum.
Cool. When is that?
I think this is going to be in March.
Oh, okay.
I got to go see him.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing really much interesting.
No, it's kind of just a dreary, cold December day.
Yeah,
that we're doing this. Well, let's see. Can I think of anything else? I guess
I think
not.
that'll be it.
I think we pretty much covered everything.
All right.
That was cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this. This was fun to do. This is the first sit-down podcast interview that I've done in several months.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to check out the Mind of Lewis, his channel will be link in the description. And
thanks for having me, Tyler.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Animator Kid Podcast for more content like this. Subscribe to my main channel, Animator Kid, for more regular updates and videos. Follow me on social media. That'll be in the description as well. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like and share this video. And don't forget to be awesome.
All right. Peace out, guys.